a flatlander, Christchurch, born in the early 60s, and largely I've been unemployable, mostly because I'm uncomfortable with being defined, to the extent of income and to the constraints of working for someone else. I have the attention span of a tree monkey, which normally leads to 4 or 5 jobs on the go at a time, which is not comfortable with employees. So I've been self-employed most of my life, and comfortably self-employed. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I am an owner in a real estate company here in Christchurch. It's part of a major franchise, a Harcourts franchise, and I, along with my husband, own 5 Harcourts offices.
When my parents are horrifying that I went back to school. It wasn't the thing to do. I went to college, lasted there for 6 weeks, got offered three apprenticeships, so that's how I got into hairdressing.
My work journey, I suppose from the time I was young, and I'm the oldest of 5 children, family and friends have been very, very important to me. 13 of my family have also been missionaries back beyond mum, and so it was just all about caring and looking after people. The headmaster, Mr. Barry Meister, offered me the job as boarding director. They wanted to increase the boarding numbers, and I decided that was a challenge.
Project Happiness is a documentary that looks at lived experience. It is a product of my Master of Visual and Performing Arts degree. Examining values, attitudes and beliefs, and then considering how they impact on the understanding of why we do what we do, greatly interests me. I'm Gina Haines, and you'll see me throughout this documentary interviewing 8 happy, eclectic, interesting people about their lived experience and how who they are affects what they do. The starting point for this research was a fascination in self-knowledge and strengths, and aligning these to the work you do in search of happiness. Connecting these assumptions to positive psychology grounded them, and I could position my new body of knowledge using phenomenological epistemologies and methodologies in the production of this documentary, both in and outside the body of knowledge that already exists. This documentary shows how some people seem able to blend these ideals together and live a meaningful life that is authentic to themselves, their beliefs, and has purpose. Project Happiness, the documentary of lived experience, awaits you. Now tell me the story of your work journey and how you came to be doing what you're doing.
Until, I was in my 30s, I suppose, and I'd gone back to Thames to live with my parents, and I met the local ballet teacher there, and she came straight over to me and said, how would you like to play for ballet? And I said, I think I probably would. And that's where it started. Well, it already had started, but that's where it really got a lift.
International student support at Canterbury University, they need international student advisor. And I thought, okay, I probably can apply the job. I didn't think I would get the job, but everything just happened in a month.
I used to do possum tokens to make a few bob when I was about 5, 6. I started with that so that I could have a few bob, because I always wanted to buy a farm, even when I was a little tacker.
I was born under a wandering star. Okay, I'll start at the end. How I became to do what I'm doing is because I was born the youngest of 6 children with 4 brothers in the family, so in an effort to compete to get my mother's attention, I had to be a performer. I've eked out a career from the age of 9 to 67, which is about 58 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've survived.
You have. And well. Yeah. Do you think there's a relationship between who you are and the work you follow?
I had to be me to follow the work. You know, the desiring to be normal and getting a job as a tea lady or a whatever I've done, it always pulls you back, no matter how you try to get rid of it. It's worse than a drug, it's worse than alcoholism, it's worse than anything. You want to be there, you want to be behind the microphone or up on stage. And of course, the sound that drives you is the applause.
Right.
The applause, only applause.
Well, I think it was probably first witnessed in the sandpit. You know, I was more inclined to turn things over than I was just push them for hours. So there was always some sort of interest in how things worked. That progressed. I don't think it was particularly influenced from anywhere else. I had one uncle who I admired because he made things. My father didn't make things, so I'd say there was clearly an influence there. I've since learned, you know, my grandfather was big into that, so I guess now I can probably see a route or an avenue that I might have been genetically following, but at the time I certainly wasn't aware of it. All I wanted to be was a gunsmith and a taxidermist, as you do when when everyone's telling you have to find something when you're at school. So that's what I found. I'd been doing quite a bit of it. I'd been doing a lot of hunting. So it all seemed, to me it all made sense. So I rushed off into the Air Force and did my time as an armament engineer in the Air Force. I got into retail. Then I got involved with a friend who was doing a property development. He was a very clever engineer, was building a bike at the same time. The other thing he was working on was a motorcycle, which he'd built and raced successfully around the world. Everyone else had a go at running it after he had passed away, and when they'd all managed to, or not managed to make a success of it, I got a turn because I was willing to work for nothing because I didn't have a job and didn't really want a job. And so I just really tried to implement what I'd learned from him about what he wanted to do, which was effectively prototyping, finding or looking for the new thing. I built some motorbikes for a movie for the world's fastest Indian, and, just other stuff for myself.
Okay, so what are you doing at the moment?
Got a project out at a local lake, Lake Forsyth, which is really just a result of reading a newspaper article where someone was looking for half of $22 million from a council to build another lake when we already had a lake which was had become toxic over 120 years from Nodularia spermagena, which is a cyanobacteria. I had an epiphany sitting on the beach looking at an outcrop, which was a rock 50 metres from the cliff, and I thought there's a bench under there, and so that one thing led to another, and we've since built a large rock groin, and we've cut a large canal about 600 metres long, and that's looking like becoming, and has been successfully used already by the council as a permanent outlet. And on that scale, the horsepower has to come from nature.
Where's New Zealand? And my mom told me where's New Zealand because my geography was shocking. It's improving, but it was shocking. Because I'm from a very small town in China, I never thought I would live there and go somewhere. Anyway, because I'm from a very traditional family, and I was 28 when that happened, so I still needed to listen to my mom's decision. So I came here.
Wise move.
Yeah. Yeah, right. After the first semester, I get A+ for 3 papers. So my lecturer approached me to ask me, say, would you like to be a tutor for my next semester's paper? So that is the beginning. I started involving university work, and I love it.
So I was a nurse. I went through happily doing all the various papers and things you did, came to my exam, failed, which was just a huge shock and affront. I didn't like that at all. And so I stayed on, reset the papers and failed again, and then they basically said, like, out you go, love, you can't get past these, we haven't got a position for you. So I went and I waitressed, and I worked in a restaurant and helped in the kitchen, and I delivered cookies for cookie time, and I just did all manner of nurse aiding jobs, and then went back to working in a restaurant. And one day I thought, oh, bugger this, because by that time I'd reset my exams and passed. I thought, oh, maybe I'll go back, and I did. And I was very happy. I went back, and that was great. So I have my real estate license. I have my associate papers, which means I can run a business, and that's what I'm doing. I think of myself less as a real estate consultant running a business, more as a business person who has chosen real estate as their vehicle.
Do you think there's a relationship between who you are and the work you followed?
From school, initially, like in nursing? Oh,
Just
yeah,
in your
sure.
travelling,
Sure,
that
yeah,
journey
very
through.
definitely. Yeah, very definitely. I liked nursing. It appealed to me. It appealed to my very caring, homely kind of sense. I've come from a very loving family, and nursing felt like a continuation of that.
Do you think there's a relationship there
Between my knowledge
who
of
you
myself.
are, yeah, your self-knowledge, and the work you followed?
Well, I think in a way that whatever you do, yourself has to fit into it, whatever it is. And I think that there would be an exclusion process would happen if you weren't compatible. You know, like what I mean is by the individual and the actual work. So, like I say, I applied for a job as a mechanic for buses.
Did you?
Instance. No, so
Oh,
say
just
I
say you
did.
did, yeah.
I would last 3 seconds maybe, because for the one thing I would have no knowledge of it, and for the other thing I would have no desire for any knowledge of it.
Okay. And what about now, Clem? What are you doing now?
I operate a large business in pests to eradicate TB from herds.
What do you like about this possum trapping life?
Well, I'm like most in the industry, we're pretty much loners.
Mm-hmm.
We like to work alone, like the environment, you know, outdoors, and working with nature. Basically is the guts of it.
Mm-hmm. So that for you would be the relationship between the work you followed and your knowledge of yourself?
Yeah, plus a commitment really to try and eradicate TB. And that's always been a commitment of mine.
Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Well, I'm probably one of the few contractors in the country that is so committed, because when I purchased my first farm, we managed to pick up TB, and it just about broke us.
I'm in charge of 162 teenagers. I'm privileged to be part of their teenage years, and just love it. Mike, the brand too, that's part of your journey. It's not just been gingerbread. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the hairdressing side is really important to me, but the other side of actually ingredients and what we're actually doing to ourselves and our body. And so we decided to look at around the world trying to find products that are actually carcinogenic free, or close to being carcinogenic free, that we believe don't cause cancer. So we couldn't find any of it. It's very difficult to find them. And you can go to the hippie shops and find an average shampoo which don't actually penetrate into the hair shaft or look after the hair. So we decided to get hold of the scientists ourselves and start doing research. And now we've produced a product that is pretty well friendly, 100% OB free. And now we're actually moving that on to a new company called Sinless Pure. So Mike is basically was just the getting the product running. Now we're going to go global, and our new name is Sinless Pure.
And I was in lots of plays, a huge amount of plays, and I still have cuttings from my plays of 1956, 58, would you believe? I used to go to a place called Mollet Street Market, which, do you know it?
Yes, I do.
Do you know it? Yeah. Do you remember what it was like in 76? It was just out of this world for me. And I got up on stage and sang. I was tall at that time. Well, I still am tall, but I don't have the red hair that I had then. Lizzie and I had a great and long career, and we got beautiful jobs. And because we were good, we could charge, right? We had a very, very good thing going. I bought a house. I paid it off in 8 years because we were working well. I was very proud of that, but my mother had instilled in me, always have a job, Janice, and always have money in the bank. Rely only on yourself. And that has been a very oft-repeated message from my brain to my heart, from my heart to my brain.
Do you think there might be a relationship between who you are and the work you've followed?
I think, yes, probably. Possibly strongly. I mean, if I'd known earlier or had been, I was like most kids, I was oblivious. The things I've learned since, I can now go, oh yeah, I can see why that is, but I just clearly didn't know it at the time. So, but, in retrospect, absolutely.
So when do you think that self-knowledge or that interest in self started to kick in for you with relationship to work?
And I don't know whether it was in relationship to work first, but just in relationship to life.
Mm.
So, you start to explore things a bit further, conversations, you think, what's the meaning?
Do you consider a connection exists, we've talked about it, between your self-knowledge and your work engagement? I think definitely,
yes.
For you, a real connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, okay, what engages you in your work? Do you love your work?
Well, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for a bloody long time, really.
Yeah.
And I've always done it, ever since I was 5 or 6 years old. Possums have been very good to me, They brought my farm. I've made money out of them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I've made a damn good living.
So what engages you in this work? Tell us about your attraction to this.
Well, actually, I'll consider myself to be musical, sort of a musician. And of course, the actual thing of playing, the actual physicalness of playing the piano is important to me. I think listening to music is one thing, and studying music is one thing too. And those are very valuable things. But I've always been attracted by adage. Just to explain what adage is, I think the dictionary is slow, controlled movements of the body, being very expressive of the music. And that in particular in a ballet class always attracts me. And
Can you give us a wee bit? Do a wee bit of that adage?
That's my main attraction.
So you can't wait to get them off the bar.
Sometimes they do it on the bar too.
Yes,
they can do it.
So it's not too long into the class for you.
No, I always push for it.
Do you? Ready for adage?
Yes, if they say, shall we do adage? I say yes.
What does engage you in your work?
Love of people, love of children. Yeah. I think that's the big,
I'm very forthright and very driven. So real estate engages you in that.
Yes.
I mean, I'm very much at the coalface with people. I've been a communicator all my life. I come from a family of people who are expected to hold their own in a verbal sense. Mm-hmm. You are encouraged to speak up, speak your mind, know your facts, be able to debate. So in a real estate world, that ability to communicate comes across very well, and that's who I am, and I enjoy that.
Yes. So in your work, what engages you? What makes you excited or engaged?
Something broken and fixing it, something that's not working and fixing it, and that's much more than mechanical. That can be that can be an unhappy person.
Yeah. So what are the internal and external factors that drive
My biggest one is probably dyslexic. So I hit it pretty well. I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought everyone was like that. But my brain just went with it. So that made me the driver. I thought, right, if I'm going to get ahead, I have to understand things.
No, money doesn't come into it. I've done a lot of voluntary work and haven't been paid throughout my life. But I love lovely things around me as well. I love colourful things around me. Yeah.
Does money drive you?
No. No. In fact, I find I have to remind myself and concentrate sometimes to hook them up, particularly now because I have responsibilities that I haven't had my whole life. I mean, I have lived a large chunk of my life as a gypsy, but I've never struggled to find money.
Yeah.
But I just didn't go looking, or didn't. The next lot turned up. I mean, it's incredible how, if you're willing to wing it, how nature can deliver in every sense of it,
Is it a trust thing? That's about
I think
having trust of...
Yeah, faith, trust.
Yeah.
Not being scared.
What are the internal and external factors that drive you?
I think underneath my artistic nature, I think I'm quite a pragmatic person. I think that you have to earn to survive.
Okay.
I think that I think it'd be wonderful if you didn't have to.
Yeah.
But
That's
I think
the currency.
Yes, exactly. I think necessity drives me in a way.
Yeah.
Just the realism of existing. I think that drives me.
Externally, so you drive. Yeah, that's your external drive because you need to make money to get through the necessities of life.
That's right. The necessities of life drive me, and I liked the people I worked with, and and I had music. Music was within me.
What do you think the internal and the external factors are that drive you?
Well, just love of the outdoors.
Yeah.
Is basically the guts of it. Being out there on my own. I can live with myself. I don't need a lot of people.
So you've
around.
got the internal motivation, so real self-drive to keep yourself going.
Yeah.
Which is your internal.
Yeah.
Externally, you're interested in the gathering of the skins. Is that for money, or is it more for something else?
Well, it's an interest, and it has a monetary value too. But money's not that important to me. I don't drive a flash car. I can probably afford one. I don't want one. I just want something that goes and can get me to where I want to go. Coming second don't matter to me. I don't want to come second.
Yeah.
There's no prizes for second.
Yeah.
There's only prizes for winners.
What's the prize?
Well, self-satisfaction mainly. No, it's not money.
It doesn't matter about money.
Money doesn't matter a shit to me. Jill will tell you that.
Yeah.
Money's bloody nothing. As long
Doesn't mean anything.
I got me coffee and me fags, I'm sweet.
Yeah. When you've done a job well and you're well pleased with yourself, what does that feel like?
Oh, well, knock another one off, I suppose.
Yeah. But is it just sort of, that's what I expect, and yep, I've done it, good. Let's move on to the next one.
Well, that's what I do expect. When you've got an attitude where failure's not acceptable, you take it as the norm.
Yeah.
Pass or get paid or whatever, and you've done a good job and you're satisfied with yourself that you've done the best you can, is what's important to me. Yeah. We all make bloody mistakes, but you got to be straight up there.
Yeah.
The other side is basically, as I said, it's I like to win. So you want to, anything I do, I'll do my best. I mean, there's lots of it. It doesn't mean you still fail, but failing is not a negative to me. It's a positive.
Internal, external factors that drive you. Can we talk about those?
Yeah. Internal, I've been driven all my life. Externally, what moves you? I would not be being honest if I didn't say recognition has been a big driver. Recognition, and this is an industry where there's enormous recognition for excellence. and I'm given that, so I like that. It's not as all-encompassing as it once was, but certainly that was a big driver, much more than the money. Just respectful of your achievements, you know.
And acknowledging them, maybe too.
Acknowledging them. So I think that was a driver. Also, I like to live and be comfortable. I like abundance. I like beautiful things, and I like plenty of them. And they are not going to come without getting off your chuff.
That's right.
You know, just didn't come from a world where you just sort of wish and there it is. Had to work hard for it.
Internal and external factors.
Internal and external factors. Oh yeah. Oh, the doubt's a good one. Self-doubt's a good one. That's always one to rise above. Internal and external. Now, you see, I tell myself each day that I'm a good person. Good person.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a wonderful day today. I really am. Yeah. And it could all turn to shit, but in the meantime, I've endeavoured to rise above it and turn it around to my advantage. I know that there are external things that happen that you've got absolutely no responsibility for and no control over. Whereas I might have at some stage gone into a trough about that, I now analyse it, deal to it, and dispose of it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty efficient in the brain.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I made a mistake, tough titty,
Yeah.
that's okay, gone. Book is closed, move on.
Yeah. And what about other external things like money? Is that a driver for you or not so much?
No, money. Once again, my mother said, have a job, Janice, have money in the bank. I've got money in the bank.
Yeah.
I'm on a pension. The government is giving me gin money. Lovely. I've just had a heat pump put in. I'm as happy as a sandboy.
I like that whole freedom. We don't need permission. But, you know, you need an outcome, but you don't have to follow that same approach or path, because any number taking the normal route, you know, it's a veritable highway.
Positive psychology is a relatively new science that looks at well-being and strengths, amongst other things. Happiness is an area that comes under the umbrella of positive psychology. My interest in happiness is related to work and self-knowledge. I have used the Values in Action, or VIA, Character Strengths Survey as a measure. Each participant completed this questionnaire and responded to it in a second interview. They talk about their strengths and how their strengths are aligned within their work. My strengths, I suppose, is just being me, but carrying on those values, integrity, honesty, passion, faith.
Strengths. I want to get the audience in my hand.
Yeah.
That would be a strength. I like to think that I've done them a performance that no one else could do. My strengths. My weaknesses are self-doubt, sometimes creeps in. Or somebody's come up to me and said something that I've found unnerving. That can throw me, but I don't let it. Well, it's all up to you, I believe. You know, the karma, you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. You can bet on it.
How do you use each of your top 5 classified strengths within your work?
Right, well, I was very interested to get these results, Gina, and the one that comes out as my top strength, I was actually really pleased that that one did, because that is really where I see myself, and I think that is where, you know, where my mind is on. And as regards how I use it at my work, it's just perfectly. If I just may read what it says here about that one, appreciation of beauty and excellence. Well, you almost don't need to go any further, because what do you see in ballet if it's done properly but beauty and excellence? And if naturally also, when I say what do you see in ballet, also involve the music in that too, of course.
Beauty is really important. If it's a piece of art, if it's a car, architecture, it could be just the environment where you're living in. Yeah, it's just, I truly believe that beauty is behind the I believe it, but you have to believe that beauty is the ultimate. Excellence is about, if you're not going to finish it the way you want to do it, don't start it. So excellence is really important.
The thing is that you've just got to be honest, really.
So honesty is one of your values, I'd say.
Yes.
Strong value.
Yeah. I don't like being lied to, and I try not to tell lies.
If you ain't got honesty, you ain't got any bloody thing, right? As far as I'm concerned, because the only one you're full is yourself.
Honesty, authenticity, and genuineness. Well, again, that's for what I do for a job where I try and make my living is a fundamental requirement.
Bravery and valour, isn't that good? I like that. Curiosity, well, you've got to be curious about why you... Okay, let me think about Mrs. DeBose in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Maudie Atkinson tells me that you broke down her scuppernong arbour this morning.
So the curiosity for me about Mrs. DeBose is how she handles it, and she's grumpy. So I'm curious, and I got an answer. She's grumpy because she's sick. Poor old bitch.
Don't say that to me, you ugly girl.
People who deal with property, curiosity and interest is a fabulous thing. But I kind of, I thought, oh no, it should be leadership or perception or something like that. So sort of like overall curiosity, I thought, don't know about that. But in fact, I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's something I apply every day. I am constantly curious. I am deeply fascinated in people and how they do things and how they avoid things and how they succeed at things. What's the difference between perhaps success and failure, looking at challenges. So it would be very fair to say that that particular strength I do apply, not just in my business, in my whole life, but maybe the results are quite fabulous in our business because I help people achieve things that they never thought they would.
My top strength, which has come out, creativity, ingenuity and originality. I think that kind of says it all. That's what is required to do that job. So I'm not really surprised by that. I think that's probably been there with me the whole way.
Now, what about humour and playfulness, Janice? That's got to be it.
Humour and playfulness, well, it's got to be within us, hasn't it? It's got to be humour and playfulness. I don't like tricks being played on me. I don't like being surprised by tricks that's unnerving. I find that unnerving. You see, I'm a trusting person, and somebody plays a trick on me, I think, right, you're not my friend anymore now. I'm a bit of a child in that respect, but playfulness and what was the humour? Humour's got to be in your life, man.
And how do you feel that this question has impacted on your thinking?
You have to think before you do things, and that's what that's actually done for me. Instead of just putting so many things and doing a million things at a million miles an hour, to say, all right, I'll finish that and go to the next one. Because that, you do learn. You learn about yourself, which is very important.
I have some guiding beliefs. I believe that what you do, what you give, is what comes back to you. I have always been a huge giver. I'm quite comfortable with that. My family were always like that, and that's kind of how I have been brought up and what I'm like. But I believe with great certainty that if you give out crap, that's what you're going to get back. And if you give out good things like good advice, good work, good rationale, that will come back to you and some. So the essence of how I would conduct myself with my family is how I conduct myself in my workplace.
To me, that's where my big value is caring and looking after people. As my mother said, I'd never be rich because I'm always giving, but I get such pleasure out of giving.
Yeah.
That's where all my energy goes for other people.
And your role is a very pastoral care type.
Absolutely. I'm available 24/7 to my students.
Values is about treating people the way you want to be treated. Everyone treats themselves differently, and I believe you actually have the spiritual side of Christian. Christianity is very strong with me and with Liz, and so we making sure that's actually in our song. Don't literally you have to be a Christian to work here, but as I said, it's the values. It's more that you're in the world for other reasons and making sure you do helping other people.
So my values are my biggest thing, so I have a very clear sense of right and wrong. I don't do grey. I know black and white's really hard for a lot of people, but in my heart of hearts I know what's right and I know what's wrong. I won't have people not be treated with respect and dignity, no matter where they come in the food chain, for example. I want everyone to feel valued and special, and I will do my utmost while staying always above the line, doing the right thing. It's one of the values in our business, and I hold it really dear. So, family is a value, honesty, integrity. I think really hard on things that are tough calls. I try to make a value call, and I think anybody that knows me would agree with that. They'd say, yeah. And I make tough calls. I will not do the things that make you popular. In fact, some of the things I do make me vastly unpopular.
So how do you follow your heart and your passions within your work?
Well, that's hard. I really want to help students in a deep way. That's why I shifted from academic role to the service role. There were who you are, really. Okay, I say this job is I touch soul, touch different students' soul, I make a difference. If you give me the opportunity, one advice, one thing I did could change a person's life, just like my advice did to me. I could not be today without the advices, without the people who helped me in New Zealand. I value this job highly.
Okay, well, I'm extremely passionate about it, so it's easy.
Yeah.
I love meeting new people. I love delivering on people's agendas. I love problems. I actually do. I love objections and problems and things that are a bit tougher. They give me a wee bit of a thrill to get through them. And I have plenty of practice at it. Believe me, there's a lot of people. There's always a lot of issues, problems, disputes. Although I tend to work in the creative end of the business, but passion I don't find very hard. If it were hard, I would not be there. I was a passionate nurse. I'm a passionate realtor. I'm a passionate business owner. I'm a passionate mother and wife and woman. I'm very comfortable with that. And my heart is very much a guiding sense in what I do. I'm very spiritual about the way I do business. Yeah. I use my intuition.
How do you follow your heart and your passions within your work?
Instinct has a lot to do with it, Gina. You sort of think, yeah, I think I could do that. Well, it's got to be all good. You've got to want to do it, otherwise you do a half-assed job.
Yeah. So how important is it to you that you work with authenticity?
Well, there's no good trying to hoodwink yourself, because the only bugger you're fooling is yourself. Really.
Yeah.
So reality is, if you don't get out there off your arse and do it, well, it ain't going to get done. So, that's been my philosophy. It's all work. That's work ethic as far as I'm concerned.
How important is it that you work with authenticity? It's probably really important. Is that important to you, that authenticity?
Very.
I thought it was, but you might like
Very.
to.
No, I'm happy with my slot in life at this point. I'm very content with who I am. Yeah. If somebody came along and said to me, is there anything I can do to make you happier? I'd say, not at the moment. Thank you. Yeah. Which is good.
Authenticity.
Being true to yourself.
I ask this are very important.
So for you, Wayne, what's authentic? Living your truth?
Yes. Yeah. That simple search for that's again that truth thing. That simple search for the truth by removing what's wrong. So that's authentic. And once you've removed all the things that are wrong, what you're left with is the truth.
Being authentic is truly important to me, and not changing, and being true to my roots and being true to my family. So I like to be very authentic.
How much of you is involved, of you, as in the self, Janice, is involved within the work you do?
Oh, only about 95% really.
I don't do anything else other than work.
How much of who you are is involved with the work you do? How much? Like, if you had to measure it?
Oh, probably all of it. I don't separate them. That's why I can't get paid for it, you know. Yeah, definitely. It's, you know, if they offer you, it's happened quite a few times, you know. And it doesn't matter what money they offer, because it's still the same thing. You know that if you say yes to that, you know, for that period, whatever it might be, that's what you're worth. So the opportunity for something else to take place, you know, for some other sequence of events to start up and spin out into something else is to some extent lost, because you know, it's like the old songs about owing your soul to the company store and all that. The sense of a loss of freedom, very uncomfortable.
Freedom's really important.
Well, you know, in the same way though, there are a hell of a lot of people that just couldn't stand that level of freedom of not knowing where the next dollar's coming from, you know, or not being perturbed because they don't have any. But to some extent, that faith is required to find those ideas anyway, because, you know, it's a classic can't have your cake and eat it too. You know, you've got to be winging it to find things that are in the ether. If you're firmly ensconced and safe and locked down and removed all the variables and effectively got all the insurance and you've done your best to stop life happening to you, you're probably not going to run into too many of those ideas or thoughts or... So, but, you know, I think it's each to their own.
How much of who you are, is involved within the work you do then?
Oh, that's a lot. Okay. First, who I am, I have academic, I have a science background, so when I do things, I like a logic way.
How much of knowing about myself is important? I would think it was critical to being successful in my business. I mean, I'm not in business for fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun, but I want to be very successful, and I think you've got to know what you want to be able to lead people in our role as business owners. Like, there's sort of 100 people that work with and for us, 70 consultants, and then there's admin teams and marketers and things. You have to know where you're going. You have to be sure about your leadership skills and your communication skills, because otherwise, who on earth is going to follow you? You know, hello. So, yeah.
Does your work add positively to your life situation, your satisfaction?
Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
But majority of the times that my job is very superficial. It's about fashion. Fashion is extremely superficial. It's about telling people that they're beautiful, making them feel beautiful, and really, that's extremely superficial.
Externally?
Yes, it is. But internally, it's a great job because you're actually helping people grow. And so it bounces each other. But as I said, it's really at the end of the day, it's only here that it grows. But it pays my mortgage, so it's very important.
Does your work add positively to your life satisfaction?
It is my life.
I know.
So it's really positive.
Does your work add positively to your life satisfaction?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it's the #1 driver.
Does your work add positively to your life satisfaction?
Oh, absolutely. You know, completely. I mean, I can't imagine not being like this, not doing this. I just can't imagine it. And even if I, you know, touch wood, that I don't suddenly go crazy or have life-threatening injuries or I can't play or anything, even though, you know, my heart would still be there with music in my mind and everything, but I would really, you know, I wouldn't like to think that I couldn't do it.
Does your work add positively to your life satisfaction?
Yeah, well, I'm satisfied with what I've done, and I don't think I'd change anything, really. I was probably one of the lucky ones that found something that I loved doing and I was good at, and I still hope to continue doing a lot of it.
And you can make some money from following that love.
Yeah, well, the money's not the important thing.
About my life satisfaction?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Well, it's pretty good. Oh, I have a good life. I give great thanks for it each and every day. I don't sit back and think, lucky old me. Keep coming. I don't have to do anything. I have to keep working at giving myself a good life and those around me a good life. It's really funny because all my life I've been a goal setter, you know, little kid. I must do this and I must get that. And as I've gone through sort of my 30s and 40s, you know, I'm in my 40s, but when I came into real estate especially, big goals, I will sell this, I will list this many homes, I will be this number in Canterbury or in New Zealand. And that was really important. In the last few years, I can tell you my goals have been less about numbers and money and things that you can tick off, and more about intangibles like I'm trying to be a good friend.
So your work, perfect, does it add how much positivity to your life satisfaction when you're in a great role and you're having a blast?
I glean.
Yeah.
I glean, and I'm very pleased and happy, and I love the fact that the musicians are happy too, you know?
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to have a laugh on stage. I make mistakes on stage and I admit it and I say, oh shit, or something like that. I will actually volunteer to the audience that I'm pissed off that I made that mistake, but I'm going to give it another go, okay?
When I'm not at work, I'm thinking about work. When I'm not thinking about work, I'm writing about work. I don't have that relief. I don't think, oh, here's my 8 hours. I'm done.
It's about people. And work is about making people feel great.
Okay, are you doing what you really want to do?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Unquestionable.
Yep.
So, in a nutshell, in a sentence, give me Wayne Alexander's essence.
Interested. Very interested in how it all operates.
You do come across as someone who's happy in their job and who's happy in themselves, with themselves.
Yeah,
you know.
I think so.
No, not really. I'm no different to anyone else.
Aren't you?
No, not really.
In what way? What do you mean when you say that?
Well, I'm just another human being, scratching a living.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Doing it your way.
Yeah, I just do my things my way.
Be yourself, make mistakes, grow as a person, and I find the older I get, life is better.
Is that about being true to yourself, do you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and at least going to the trouble of finding out who the hell you are instead of making it up. The only thing you can do in life is just be a good rendition of yourself. You know, and it doesn't really matter what you are. I'd much rather wing it, go straight to the landing pad, have a look around, think, shit, this is it, beautiful. You know, that was lucky. I'm really comfortable with in the deep end first.
I hope you as a viewer have found this topic interesting and can reflect on your own self-knowledge in relation to your work as a consequence of watching and listening to these people.
My next step, I'm going to wallow in the film on Saturday night. I'm going to wallow in To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm going to wallow in the picture of the Chilcon Avenues, and I'm as happy as a sandboy.
As I said before, I'm just one of the lucky ones. You know, I found what I love to do, and yeah.
And I want to just continue leading, you know, a beautiful, full, abundant life.
You really just want to be Janice.
Well, Gina, everyone looks after themselves.
Yeah, they do.
And it depends on how they rate themselves, I guess, how well they look after themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm as happy as I've ever been in my life.